Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Camper Report. Today, we have a first-time guest, a guy who has a radio show, and he actually is from my former town of Wilkes County. Went to college there. My brother Joseph, who has been on the show before, hooked me up with him. Said this guy's really cool. You should do a show with him. Michael Davis, everyone. In advance, I apologize because when I was setting up both shows, the one in the morning and the one right now, I set up the times all wrong. And so I apologize if all of the shows, the times are off and everyone got confused. But everyone, this is Michael Davis, right out of my hometown. How are you doing today? And excited to talk football, especially with a Cowboys fan. It's crazy.
See, everybody wants to talk to a Cowboys fan. Yeah, Ben, I'm doing absolutely awesome. For some reason, we're 2-1 right now, which shocks the world, shocks Cowboys fans, shocks me. But I'm excited to talk football. Anytime I can talk football, I absolutely love it, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, again, so can you tell them where they can find you? Obviously, on your handle right there is like your Instagram handles are right there in the description of this video. You can find all of his Instagram handles. But what is your radio show called, and what about what do you do? What do you cover?
Yeah, so I have a sports talk radio show that debuted this year for Tobacco Road Sports Radio that you can find on tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. It's turned into a podcast a couple days after the fact. We air Fridays at 4 o'clock. And then here, starting mid-month, I believe October 14th. So in 2 weeks, it'll also be airing on WWBG 1470 AM out of Greensboro. So if you're in
Okay.
the area or if you want to look it up online, we talk football, talk a lot of football. We'll talk about basketball once the season starts getting its way. And then we also talk about professional wrestling. I'm a big pro wrestling guy, WWE, AEW. It's kind of like my guilty pleasure, if you will.
Yeah. And then you said you didn't say your YouTube channel. It's what is it?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast. I've also carried a wrestling podcast just on my own over the last year, and we just made its YouTube debut this past week. We drop videos every Monday, and again, big wrestling guy, so we'll be talking about that, dropping 30, 45-minute episodes, similar to the Camper Report.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be exciting. Again, it's a small channel, just debuted, so be one of the first to go subscribe to him if you like wrestling. And a lot of people that in this market that well, not like in this that like football, I've met and I've I guess yeah, I've met a lot of people that a lot of people like football, but they are avid wrestling fans as well. And I've met a lot of people like that. So if you want a show like that, go subscribe to him and be one of the first. But let's get right into it. Kind of an injury that was, I guess some people will scrutinize how the staff could have done this, how the personal doctor guy that Tua went to could have done this, how they passed him. A lot of people are scrutinizing the NFL rules. The Tua Tagovailoa injury was a big one, and it was kind of scary. It almost made me throw up. Well, not throw up, but it made me cringe when I saw it. But so a lot of people are scrutinizing the NFL rules after the Tua Tagovailoa concussion, which he got against the Bills, and then he got again against the Bengals. And originally he had passed the concussion protocols, but then he got re-injured against the Bengals. So should the NFL do something about the concussion protocols after this Tua concussion, which was scary to me?
Yeah, Ben, I watched this live and I was so excited for this game. And Miami is doing absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill seems to be like this missing piece for this offense, and they're just slinging it with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. It's really opened up the offense, and it's really cool to see Tua finally getting his gears going just because they've now surrounded him with pieces and weapons, and it makes a difference. So I also watched the Miami Dolphins Buffalo Bills game live. I've watched 2 Dolphins games live. Like, when can you ever say that as football fan. Like this is a cool time to watch the Miami
Yeah.
Dolphins. And Sunday I saw him stumble
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, he's not right. We're not going to see him rest of the day." Here comes Teddy Bridgewater, which if you're a Dolphins fan, you're probably holding your breath when Bridgewater takes the field.
Yeah.
And I was shocked to see him return. Like once you see a player physically stumble,
Mhm.
and they said it was a back injury.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben, you and I aren't doctors. We're just
Yeah.
broadcasters.
Yeah.
It's we know when somebody isn't right, and Tua was not right in that case. But apparently, he was evaluated by a third party
Right.
neurologist. Like, okay, he's good to go back. But man, as big as that Bills game was, division rival in Miami, and you have a chance to beat the Bills, who were probably Super Bowl favorites at this moment in time.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tua tried to play off that he was okay so he could go in.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
players have done that a lot. But Thursday night, I have never been more scared for a football player in my lifetime as a fan.
Yeah.
Once you saw the fingers freeze on his hand, he wasn't moving through 2 commercial breaks. Like, it was and how he was okay and dismissed from the hospital and flew home with the team that night, I it just doesn't or something that doesn't make sense, and I really hope that Tua gets okay, like, fully 100%. He should not play this next game. Even if he says he's fine,
Yeah.
it would be too much, even after a 10-day rest, to put Tua out on the field right now.
And the thing is like, where were they? Like, I guess all the doctors were passing him, but the thing is like, he was passed by the athletic trainer, the team physician, the staff, and then he went to a hospital, was passed by them. So what? Who? Like, how did they think he was okay? That's a big mystery to me. And the checklist is the player exhibits or reports symptoms or signs suggestive of a concussion or stinger. I think that was a huge symptom as well. So I think this injury is going to be longer than a week and a half, which is their next game. I think it's going to be probably 2.5 weeks. And again,
Yes.
I don't blame what's his name, McDaniel at all for this injury. And I think if he's told he's good to go, then he's going to put him out there. The thing that is even more surprising is if he wasn't fine, because they had a game on Sunday against the Bills, and then they had a game on Thursday against the Bengals, 4 days. If he wasn't fine, usually as a former teammate, you should spot that. So the fact that is confusing to me is, how did nobody spot that? And this is a bad look on the Dolphins as well, because they've had a lot of other scandals about Tom Brady,
Mhm.
and their ownership's been very sloppy. So this is a bad look on them. But the thing that doesn't make sense is, did they just, like, in a year or so, are we going to hear, oh, the Dolphins paid off all of these different people to clear him? I don't know. It could be not. That's a wild theory, but
Well, also, like, the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant who evaluated Tua, like, and cleared him, he's been fired.
really, okay.
He's already been let go. That news broke, uh,
I didn't
pretty
hear that.
late
Yeah.
today,
Okay.
and in terms of, like, because you asked, like, should they do something about their
Yeah.
concussion protocols? Dude, I'm starting to think, as much as I love watching football, I could watch football 7 days a week. I don't know if Thursday night football is a good idea,
No.
because even if Tua was cleared and everything, you could see he still had effects
Yeah.
Thursday night. You see that across the board every Thursday night, that if a player rushes back, he's just not healthy. Even
Yeah.
healthy players are not in good shape on Thursday night. So as much as I love Thursday night football, they need to figure out if they take it away completely. I know it's a great Thanksgiving tradition that the Dallas
Right.
Cowboys and Detroit Lions have played on Thursday of Thanksgiving. Maybe they insert something to where you play the Thursday night football game after your bye week. So you
Right.
have 10 days before the Thursday game and then 10 days
Mm.
after. that could be something they look into, but only having like 5 days rest, 4 days rest, just the human
Yeah,
body
it's
can't
true.
take it.
That's true, and that's so you're saying that they should, because again, the first 3 weeks they don't have any bye weeks. There's no bye weeks for any team. So you're saying just don't have Thursday night for the first like 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah,
No.
and even if you wanna, because they now have 18 weeks to be a little flexible with this. I mean, you could do so much with that. You could have 2 Thursday night games.
Mhm.
You
Right.
could have a Thursday and a Friday night game even.
Yeah.
Like there's options for this. Eh, 4 days isn't enough, Ben. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, that's true, and I mean, if you look at that injury that Tua had, especially the second one, that second one was, like, body slammed by a 300-pound dude, and he
Which
just
wasn't flagged,
flew
by the
back.
way.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's the thing is like, that's another point that you bring up. Usually with quarterbacks, they do that, right? They'd flag him for, like, roughing the passer or something like that. That's
That was a
interesting.
body slam.
That's
That
a
was
good
that was a
point.
WWE type Brock
Body slam, and
Lesnar.
usually you would flag that. Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting for sure. But yeah, some news. So again, big picture for the Dolphins though. This could be bad if he misses. I mean, let's look at their 2 games, their first 2 games. If he misses 2 weeks, I mean, that this is not good because it's a tight NFC. I mean, AFC. So you could be, this team needs every game it can get. So let's look at their 2 games. Sorry, guys. Jets and Vikings. And then Steelers. That's relatively easy. Um,
Jets, even though it's a divisional game, that
should
should be a win.
Yeah,
But then again, the Jets have been playing
playing pretty good.
better than the Jets usually play.
And they'll get Wilson back.
Honestly, I don't know if I'd go back to Wilson right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
are you feeling what I'm putting down? Like
Yes.
Joe Flacco, he won a Super Bowl. I know he's not great, but he's good enough to get your team, and the team's rolling. I wouldn't mess up that chemistry by putting Zach Wilson in right now.
He's probably pretty rusty. He hasn't played any regular season games. There were already question marks before he got injured about what he would do. That's a very good point. But anyways, their schedule is pretty easy. They can afford to drop a few games. And then they have a stretch after that: Lions, Bears, Browns, Texans. Yeah, it's relatively easy the next 6 weeks. So,
You need to rest Tua.
yeah,
Like if you even, I don't think they rest him 6 weeks. I
no.
don't think there's a need to rest him 6 weeks. But if you rest him 6 weeks and at worst case scenario, you go out 3-3,
Yeah.
you're still in pretty good spot. Like you're not winning the division. That's Buffalo's territory, but you're going to
Yeah.
get a pretty good wild card spot.
And the thing is like they they if their team is really as good as they seem to be, then Mike McDaniel should be able to pull off some wins, like you said. So, yeah, that's a good point. But moving on, we have your Cowboys. Let's talk a little. So we're gonna talk everything NFL, but the Cowboys actually, for me, I thought they were just gonna come out and I didn't really expect them to be that good, especially when Dak went out. I was like, oh no, this team is not. But I mean, Cooper Rush, should he be the starter? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
Over
my
Dak
god.
Prescott. Yeah,
The amount of people who've reached out to me and be like, oh, Dak's job's gone. Cooper Rush is there. Calm
yeah.
down.
So
Calm down.
they've done surprisingly good without Dak. They're 2-1. They've won the last 2 games. Is this Cowboys success sustainable? Are they going to sustain it? And do you think they're a playoff team after these 2 wins? I mean, they haven't looked that bad. Their defense is a lot better than last year. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on them?
So our defense was great last year. And I was worried that, especially with Randy Gregory being one of those to depart the team,
Right.
and teams have another year with Trayvon Diggs, seeing if like he would continue to improve or if offensive has figured him out.
Yeah.
Like this defense has honestly kept us here.
Mhm.
And they've played great the first 3 weeks. They held Tom Brady and company to under 20 points. Like, it was 19-3. That was
Yeah.
the only good thing about week 1. And after that week 1 loss, particularly losing Dak Prescott, I was like you. I was like, "Man, this isn't gonna be good. This is gonna be painful. It's gonna be brutal." I'm a diehard, so I watch from buzzer to buzzer, like, from the kickoff to the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like, I am that way no matter how the team's doing. So I'm like, "It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, but I'll support my team." And we won the Cincinnati game
Yeah, which
against
was
the
surprising.
defending AFC champions. I was like, no way. And Cooper Rush, he started the Minnesota Vikings game last year, led a game winning drive, did the same for Cincinnati. I was like, not a lot of people do that. And then he followed it up with the game this past week against the Giants on Monday Night Football, doing the same. Like,
Yeah.
Cooper Rush isn't going to be the starter. That's why you pay Dak $40 million. But I do believe that Dak's looking at this and he's like, okay, Cooper's found something with this offense. I need to go and take that to the next level, because this was
Right.
the number 1 offense last year. And I don't put it past you. Like, we lost Amari Cooper. I feel like that was a bad mistake, steal. And
Mhm.
until Michael Gallup can stay healthy, until CD Lamb can really step up as that number
It's true.
1, I will forever be upset with us letting Amari Cooper go for what we did. We got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
We might as well have gotten that Hickory Crawdads poster
That
back
was
there.
funny.
That was a free giveaway
Yeah.
out the gate. Like,
And
it
and if you see for what the other receivers, Tyreek Hill went for way more than that. I mean, Cooper, yeah, that was
it
bad. That
the
bad
the
management.
the Eagles gave away Jalen Reagor for more.
For more. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what? And I think Amari Cooper and AJ Brown are on the same level, if Amari is not better.
Yeah.
And, you know, Eagles went after AJ Brown and got him. And I feel like this is something I've mentioned on the show. Like, teams nowadays,
Mhm.
they need a true number 1
Number one
receiver.
receiver. Yeah.
And if not 2 number 1 receivers, look at Miami.
Yeah. And I mean, the Cowboys, I mean, a year ago had 3 really good receivers, and now they have 1. And so, yeah, that's a good point. Now they do have that other guy, what's his name?
Noah
They
Brown?
still no. Never mind. I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, so I guess like Dak's coming back October 16th, which is good. And your defense is giving up like 200 under 215 yards per game to passers so
Dude,
far now.
so good.
Yeah, but
Especially
again,
against Joe Burrow and
Joe
Tom
Burrow.
Brady.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, they lead the NFL in sacks and second in pressures with 42. So basically, I think all they need to do is stay afloat while Dak's gone with their defense, and they can lean on that. And I think they will sustain that success as long as that defense is firing. I mean, Micah Parsons is having an amazing year.
And
That
and
defense, even though, go ahead.
and just like Michael Parsons, Demarcus Lawrence
Yeah,
got 3 sacks against the Giants and then got hurt and came back in the
yeah.
game, like, and still making an impact. Like, as long as this thing's staying afloat, I agree. Like, I wouldn't even rush Dak back. I would make sure Dak gets fully healthy. We're doing good right now. We have Washington this week, which that defense can always give us trouble. The
Yeah.
Rams, I do not want Dak returning in Los Angeles against the Rams and Aaron Donald, and I don't want him returning against Philadelphia in that front line. He
Yeah,
needs
and
to he needs to
go ahead.
wait for that
Yeah.
Detroit game the following week.
Really? Okay. I could see them returning him for Philly just because that's a big game. That's a rivalry game. You want to see him on the field. And again, the Miami Dolphins, that's another thing with Tua. Like, I think another reason why they brought him on and rushed him back was it was a primetime game. You don't want to see your backup there. I think it is political. So I think Dak I think he's gonna come back for Philly. And also I wouldn't overlook the Cowboys versus the Rams because they've been struggling. And Cooper Rush has been playing really good, a 98 passer rating average. So he's been playing pretty good. And so I wouldn't overlook them because the Rams really haven't looked that good either. They played pretty easy teams. Yeah, so I wouldn't overlook this Cowboys team as well against the Rams. And
Well,
I
for
wouldn't
the
be surprised.
Rams,
Yeah, go
for
ahead.
for the Rams, like Matthew Stafford didn't get a lot of reps in the preseason. I
Right.
still feel like this Rams offense is in preseason mode. All the pieces are still there, minus Von Miller, who
Mm-hmm.
went to Buffalo, and they have Allen Robinson there now for the Rams.
Who hasn't been doing as good as I thought he would. I
So
really,
once Stafford and Robinson have their chemistry down,
it's true.
I I feel like the Rams are going to be fine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's interesting. But let's get into the chat. Mean the Dream. Shout out to him. If you haven't, Michael, go check out his channel. Really, really he's my age. Does content as well about the 49ers. Really smart content creator. So go check out his channel if you guys haven't already. But moving on, who are some teams that have since sustained success? Well, no, sorry, that have had success earlier on that you didn't expect to, but like surprising teams that haven't like that have done good earlier on that you haven't expected that were going to do good. Who are some teams like that who won't sustain that success, who are kind of like what the Broncos and the Panthers started off 3-0 last year, and then both of those teams were dumpster fires. So, who are some teams like that this year?
Well, if you look, we're 3 weeks in to the
Right.
season. I mean, Jaguars currently lead their division at 2-1,
Right.
but the rest of the divisions looked really, really bad. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be there's no longer 8-8, but it's going to be a 9-8 division that they
Yeah.
win. And Detroit's 1-2 right now, but they've looked good. I feel
Yeah.
like they stopped looking good. I mean,
Yeah.
it it could be rough. Plus
I'm
the
gonna.
Giants
Yeah. I'm gonna. I
starting.
was about to say. I mean, I can make my case for the Giants right now. Uh, they're.
Saquon is back though.
Yeah. True.
Saquon, I was highly critical of him. I'm like,
He had
we
some
haven't
good
seen him
games.
since his rookie
Yeah.
year. He looks good.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is they haven't played. If you look at their schedule, they haven't really played. I know the Cowboys are good, but they lost to the Cowboys. They played the Panthers and the Titans, who I have my question marks. Titans aren't very good. They don't have a very good defense. They have like the one of the worst 31st, no, one of a bottom half defense in the league. They played the Panthers, who also aren't that good. I think when it comes down to Daniel Jones throwing the ball, I have this stat line for you. And again, this is one of, for being 2-1, this is not good. 21st in the NFL for total offensive yards as 659 total offensive yards compared to some of the other top teams. Eagles 941, Dolphins 854. And the thing that gets me is Dayball, who is supposed to be a passing genius, their passing game really hasn't looked that good. So my fear is you get to some good games, you get to some good teams. In 2 weeks, they play the Packers, and then they also play the Ravens, and then they follow that up by playing a Jaguars defense who has looked pretty good,
Brutal.
and offense.
Brutal.
So and again, they've scored 16 in the last matchup, 19 in the matchup before, 21. So they're not a that high scoring offense. They have leaned on Saquon Barkley a lot, but when it comes down to Daniel Jones's arm, I just don't trust them. I think that's a team that's going to fall off really quickly.
And Ben, like real quick, where was DeBall last year as an offensive coordinator?
Yeah,
He was in Buffalo,
in
right?
Buffalo, who
Like
just threw it
Josh
64
Allen,
times last
Stephon
week.
Diggs.
Yeah.
Like it was the pieces were there.
Yeah.
Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are going to get you better results than Daniel Jones, and Kenny Galladay is looking horrible.
Yeah.
He might get traded.
Yeah, and he was good with the Lions too. Like that was I really liked Kenny Galladay before he went to the Giants. So this could be. I didn't ever expect Dayball to be a 1-year coach, but this could be actually be the 1-year coach that only stays 1 year. It depends, really. I don't know why they ever decided to stick with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I feel like they could give DeBall a second year.
Yeah,
But Daniel Jones is
needs to go.
gone.
Yeah,
He's gone.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think Josh McDaniels was the right coach, and is he the reason why the Raiders are 0-3? And do you think he'll get fired if they don't make the playoffs by the end of the year? Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
he was. You see that last stint with the Broncos, and people are like, "Okay, he's changed." I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. They have a lot of pieces on that offense that are really good.
There's not a lot of head coaches in the NFL who get a second opportunity with so much time apart. Like, he was the
Yeah,
Denver Broncos head coach like 10, 12 years ago
yeah,
and wasn't good, and now the Raiders have a lot of talent. I
yeah,
feel like they could turn it around with Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller. Like, there's no reason why the Raiders can't turn this around except for coaching.
yeah.
Which is really unfortunate because I was really high on them coming into the year. Plus, they play in a brutal division. If they were in the AFC South, they would win that division easy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so 0-3, especially in that division, is not a good start. They need to get it together this week with a win over the Broncos, and we'll get to that. So stick around, guys. End of the stream, we'll get to a few big matchups this week. But let's move on. Who are some teams that have been doing well? No, sorry. Who are some teams that have exceeded expectations that will sustain their success? Teams that you didn't expect to be good, but they actually could have something there and they could be a breakout team.
I mean, I would say Miami, and we've touched on this
Yeah.
a little bit with Miami, where they're 2-1, or they're 3-1 actually after uh, this past week. They
Yeah.
They have that one receiver and they have that two receiver, and that's what
Mhm.
you need in the NFL. And unfortunately, Philadelphia might be one of those teams that continues to sustain their success.
But we saw that coming with Philly. That's why I didn't put him down as one of my teams.
I didn't see it with them.
Okay, well, you're a Cowboys fan. I'm just kidding.
No, no. You know who I was expecting?
Who?
I was expecting the Giants. I was
Okay.
expecting the Giants to come out of this division only because they've
Ooh,
rebuilt that offensive line.
that's true. That's
I
true.
thought Kenny Golladay was going to help. I thought DeBall was going to be this offensive guy. I was
Right.
wrong in that, but I I just didn't expect the Eagles to be 3-0 and look the way they've done it. Like, that's the
Right.
impressive part.
Their offense has looked really, really explosive. And the thing that I have trust in McDaniel, it's just all about who misses, how much time Tua misses. I think it's going to be more than we expect. And I think McDaniel could keep this team afloat, but yeah, I don't know. So, but I'm gonna say Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence
Really?
has the weapon. Like, he actually doesn't have terrible weapons. And again, their defense has been really, really good. They held Herbert, even though Herbert was injured, to 6.6 yards per attempt and a 74 quarterback rating. That's really good. And I
But
think
Keenan Allen was out.
that's true. That's true. But that's still a team that, I mean, that's a quarterback that's really good. I think their first big test is going to be this week against the Eagles. That's going to be a huge game tomorrow. But I think Doug Peterson was, I mean, the big change for this team really helped that coaching change. I think he's really getting the best out of Trevor Lawrence. And if they can sustain that success, their defenses look really good, top 5, and they actually don't have terrible weapons. Christian Kirk, they have not we do they have Marvin Jones? I think they do. Th
Maybe?
I can look up their receiving core, but I honestly
This is why I don't expect them to stick around.
right.
Like,
But
they
here's the
have
thing. Their O-line last year, before you continue, their O-line last week has allowed 0 sacks on 30 no, over 30 passes. Really good. So, anyways, go ahead.
I mean, the game is won and lost in the trenches. That's a really good point. I just It's not going to take much to win
Yeah,
this division, but I still look at the talent that Indianapolis has. I still look
true.
at Tennessee having Tannehill and Derrick Henry, even though they lost AJ Brown. I I I feel like Indianapolis could easily run away with this division. Uh, I just don't see Jacksonville. Jacksonville's not shown me anything in the last
Well,
what, 7, 8 years to make
yeah,
me believe in them?
that's true. But they scored 24 points against the Indianapolis, who doesn't have a that bad defense. They shut out Indianapolis. Like, their offense isn't that good, but they were able to shut down Jonathan Taylor.
Mm,
And then they beat a Titans team who I mean, their offense is pretty bad, but their offenses looked really good. And I mean, their offensive line, which I don't even know, I can go back and look how they rebuilt that offensive line, but it looked really good against a pretty good, well, the Chargers defense had a lot of expectation going into this season. And I think that's one team that has been the biggest disappointment of this year is the
hmm,
Chargers, because I think they've lost so many games they've lost games that they shouldn't have this year. Their defense was hyped up. Their offense was hyped up. Now, a big thing was their offense has been so banged up this year. But
mhm.
so maybe this is just an outlier. Maybe beating the Chargers. I mean, they beat them at 38-10.
It
I don't know. So maybe
I
beating
thought that was a typo when I saw the, score. I was
the
like, "What? What
Yeah.
happened?"
Yeah, that's true. And I think, but maybe the Chargers are just a big disappointment and you're really not beating a that good team. But I think they've actually had 3 really good wins, 2 divisional wins and 1 beating a team that has a good quarterback. So, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence outdueled it, even though Justin Herbert was injured. So, yeah. Dolphins season might depend on Tua. Bridgewater is okay, but he won't put the Fins over the top. Bills, when healthy, are a top AFC team, in my opinion. Did you
Absolutely.
did you see they threw it 64 times last Sunday?
It because they were
That's
trying to
crazy.
keep up with Miami.
Yeah.
And that heat, man, if it's in Buffalo, maybe the Bills win that game, but
Yeah.
that heat just it was like the 12th man.
Right.
It was brutal on a team that usually fares well in cold weather. That's why I'm, like, very hesitant to give Dolphins
Yeah.
credit. Like, I feel like they've been really impressive, but in January when they meet the Bills, probably in Buffalo for, like, a playoff game, how's Miami going to do?
Yeah.
I feel like that could play a lot into how this unfolds.
True. The Chargers lost 7 starters. Yeah, they've been one of the more backed. I think week 1 I don't know if JC Jackson is still out, but that week 1 they didn't have JC Jackson either. So, they're a team that I think could pick it up later on in the season. But
And it's usually when teams get healthy,
yeah,
November, early December, and start making a run, those are the most dangerous teams.
yeah. And I mean, this is a must-win year for the Chargers because I guarantee you, if they don't, if they don't make a run in the playoffs, I don't care injuries or not, your coach is gone because I mean, they went out. They were the most aggressive team in free agency last year. So yeah, you have to do something if you're the Chargers. But yeah, so that's a little bit that's interesting. But let's get to the next MVP talk. Who is coming to the MVP conversation that you didn't expect to be there? There's guys like Tua, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, who personally has won me many fantasy games. I don't know if you play fantasy, but that guy is
Oh, I do.
absolutely done
I'm hurting
insane. I
right now.
drafted him. I drafted him and Mark Andrews in fantasy as a stack, and they have just done amazing. So, yeah. So those are some names in the MVP conversation, as well as Josh Allen. Yeah. So who are some guys that you are kind of surprised that have come into the MVP conversation, but you didn't expect them to be there?
So we expected Justin Herbert, we expected
Right.
Josh Allen, we expected Lamar Jackson. I mean, we didn't expect Tua.
Yeah.
Tua's like second in the league in passing yardage, and it
I'll go
helps
down there.
because Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, surprise, are 1 and
Yeah.
2. I feel like Jalen Hurts for some reason. I'm not a big Jalen Hurts guy. I feel like he could fall off potentially. Sorry, Joseph. I know you're watching and you're probably upset with me.
Yeah.
Now, it's not usually won by a running back, okay? But I want to make a case for this guy. Last running back to win MVP was Adrian Peterson for posting like 2,000 yards. And guys like Derrick Henry in their all-star like seasons haven't won it. I really think Nick Chubb needs consideration. The
Ooh,
fact
interesting.
the fact that the Cleveland Browns aren't the Browns 2-1 right now?
Yeah,
with Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett.
They
They've done good.
they they knew at the beginning of the season, the first what however long Deshaun's out, 10 weeks or
Yeah,
so, like you knew, okay, they can only run the ball. So you're
right,
going to stack the box against Chubb and Hunt and just hope that they don't beat you.
right.
Chubb leads the league in rushing right now. Chubb is just blowing me away. And he's honestly the only reason why the Browns are 2-1 and not 0-3 right now.
Right. That's true. And my response to that is they have played the Panthers, Jets, and Steelers. And then they go on a crazy, like and I've actually posted this many times on my channel, breaking down their schedule. They have Falcons this week, which they should win. And if they can win that, they need to win as many games before they hit this tough stretch. Because after the Falcons, they have Chargers, Patriots, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills, Buccaneers, all before Deshaun Watson comes back. So they're gonna need to lean on him a little bit more, Nick Chubb. But yeah, I completely agree. I think one guy that, and I think this was no surprise. I think the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. I think this was no surprise because they did put a bunch of weapons around him. But
Mm-hmm.
this should be, I mean, I think I compare it to what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson a few years ago when he won MVP and they were 14-2. I think they have the schedule to go on a big run. Their schedule's extremely, I think, pretty easy with the Eagles. And obviously I should have expected Jalen Hurts to be in the MVP conversation, but this guy, 67% completion rate, 900 yards passing so far, has that offense has looked really good. Now, I do want to see them a little bit more tested because they have played the Lions,
I was about to say.
Commanders, and Vikings, and none of those teams really have top tier defenses. But
Yeah.
they might face a little bit better of a defense against the Jaguars Jaguars this year. So, I mean, this week. So,
Gosh. And they still have an easy schedule, man. Like
yeah, yeah,
Jaguars, this will be Jacksonville's like main test right here.
yes,
You have the Cardinals who still haven't put it together. I feel like the Cardinals won't put it together until DeAndre Hopkins comes back. And then you have Dallas
yeah,
following that up. So Dallas would be not being the homer right here, but that will be the first test. It's a division game. I believe it's on
yeah.
prime time. I believe it's, I want to say
Um,
Sunday night.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Sunday night. So, I mean, this is really Lamar Jackson's MVP.
Yeah,
Like, if we want to be honest, and the Ravens are going to absolutely kick themselves for not signing him before the season. Lamar
he's
bet
going to
on
be way more
himself.
expensive. Go
Oh
ahead.
man,
Go ahead.
Lamar bet on himself, and if he doesn't get hurt, he is going to be paid bank.
Yeah. Yeah, and so many teams are going to be, because next year when he hits free agency, now you're going to have teams with more cap space trying to get him. I expect them to lock him up, but yeah, that's a good point you make. And I think, man, him and Mark Andrews, I saw that coming when you draft him in fantasy because I saw it coming. I knew that with like they really don't have many good receivers. And again, the reason why I compare Jalen Hurts to the season in 2019 that the Ravens had really good was because that season the Ravens had a pretty easy schedule. They had a system that was new, and I think this is a new Eagles coach. I mean, in year 2, and they have a lot of weapons, and they have an easy schedule. And so, like, if you look at it, they could potentially, I think they could go 14-3. But I think because of their untestedness in the playoffs, and they have a lot of young dudes, I think they're going to probably be a team that will lose in one of the earlier rounds of the playoffs, but they'll look really good in the regular season because they haven't been tested. And really, the Eagles don't have that many tests in the regular season this year.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
So
looking at that schedule, I would love that schedule. You know, I would love to face the Saints in December. I'd love to
yeah,
face the Bears in December, the
yeah.
Titans, the Colts.
Who's you? Go
Man,
ahead. Yeah, you guys get a slightly harder because you get all the first seed teams or first divisional winners from last year. So But they
Really,
play
really wish Amari Cooper was here for those, but it's okay.
They play Jaguars, Cardinals, Cowboys. That's pretty easy. And then they play Steelers, Texans, Commanders, Colts, Packers. I mean, there's a little bit of Colts and Packers aren't terrible, but yeah, really, there's no big tests. There really isn't. So, nah, that's interesting. David McNews comes in and says Deshaun Watson hasn't played since 2020. I expect him to be rusty when he comes back. I do agree. I agree
Yeah.
with that. Luckily, he's coming back versus an easy team. Because they have a stretch of like 6 games where it's really hard before that. So he kind of gets lucky.
And
I also
Ben,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Ben, you also have to think he's not getting reps in practice right now because he's suspended. He can't get reps with the
True.
first team. Like Jacoby Brissett will have those 10 games. And I don't know if you like bring him back immediately at week 11, depending on how the playoff picture's setting
True.
up. Maybe
True.
wait till week 12 and give him like
A
2
few
full
weeks.
weeks of practice.
That's a good point. But he was able to practice in preseason, right?
Yeah.
Because he was playing those games. So maybe you do that. That's a good point. But I mean, it's coming back on an easy game against the Texans, and they kind of want the publicity there because it's his former team, whatever. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I also expect the Red Chickens, which I think he means the
The
Red
Cardinals.
Cardinals. Yeah, will fire Kingsbury after this season. Yeah, I agree. Do you think so? Do you think they'll fire Kingsbury?
I've went back and forth on this. Like I was talking to a friend at work a few days ago about Arizona, and I really don't think they'll get things going until DeAndre Hopkins again. Like this league, you need that top tier receiver, and it makes a difference. And we're seeing that with the Titans right now. So I feel like once Kyler Murray gets DeAndre Hopkins back,
Right.
that'll get going
Mm-hmm.
and could save Kingsbury's job. But that division, that division with the Rams and the 49ers don't look too bad right now. I honestly believe, as unfortunate as the Trey Lance injury
Yeah.
was, like I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is your guy this year. I feel a lot better about Jimmy Garoppolo leading the team than Trey Lance. It honestly felt like if Jimmy Garoppolo stays, y'all can be a playoff team. Trey
Yeah.
Lance, you're just trying to figure out what you have in him so you
True.
didn't waste a draft pick.
And that's where I'm like, are any of these guys the right thing? Like, should we trade for somebody next year? Should we try to go after Lamar Jackson for goodness sakes? Like that would be now
If
that's
Lamar's on the free
expensive.
agent market, that's a yes.
That's
No
that's
matter what.
well, yeah, but true. But how much do you have to pay him? 60 million? Like probably close to that.
Well, yeah,
Kind of depends
now
how he does. So 60 million. Wow. I don't
it,
know,
it, it, would,
man.
it would definitely be 50 mil easy.
Oh, and I think because was it somebody got 55. Was it
Was it
Murray? Somebody got
Murray?
55.
I think Kyler Murray was the last one to get.
Yeah. I think he got 55. So you'd have to do 58, 56. So probably not 60, but close.
And back to David's point, you just locked up your quarterback. And if this ship goes south, the only person who's going to be the scapegoat is the head coach.
Yeah, the head coach.
It's going to be the coaching staff because you think you have your guy, you just paid him, and he needs to get it done. And I'm making the excuse for DeAndre Hopkins, but this, and maybe I'm a little biased because I do play fantasy and Kyler's one of my quarterbacks, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
He's got to get going somehow.
Yeah, that's true. As long as they can stay afloat. I don't even know if DeAndre Hopkins, like, hopefully he doesn't get injured when he comes back because the injuries have been a problem for him. Last year they were, and he didn't really do that great last year. So let's hope he can get back and get under his get his feet under him. And he's also not practicing with the team, right? Because he's suspended as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
whenever
so
you're suspended, you can't be around the team facility. You can't be practicing, and especially for a wide receiver, if you miss that much time without working out or anything, hopefully he's doing his private workouts.
no,
But that is
I'm
a
sure he is.
prime suspect for a hamstring injury. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
David McNew, Trey Lance needs reps. His ability to extend plays and throws deep changes the dynamics of our offense. Jimmy G is limited. Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you there. And after what we saw from that Denver Broncos game was terrible. I mean, but I think that was also partly the coach's fault. That offense was abysmal. Our defense is best in the league. That offense is terrible. It's just terrible.
I think Dallas's defense has a claim over the 49ers for best in the league.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Leading the league in sacks right now, looking at what they did to Tom Brady, somehow just beating the Cincinnati Bengals,
Yeah.
really limiting Saquon Barkley the entire game except for one run. Okay,
Yeah.
but
I mean, but our defense is literally averaging 3.6 yards per per attempt against they're only giving up like 3.6 yards per attempt. They're only giving up like 10 points per game. And I mean, really last game they only gave up 9 points. And that was at the very end, which was expected. I mean, you're always going to expect Russell Wilson to get something. Like this defense is I don't know. I think you're a little off there, but
I
we'll
mean,
see.
both of our defenses are top 5 right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, easily.
Right now.
Right now. Yeah.
You could go back and forth on who's better, but dude, I'm telling you, I am high on Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel like if there wasn't the pressure to find out
Yeah.
if Trey Lance is a guy, then Garoppolo would be starting this year.
Yeah. Do
I
you think Kyle Shanahan goes back to his boy he's been able to trying to get Kirk Cousins? Do you think he tries to trade for him next year?
mm-mm.
No,
No.
yeah.
No. Yeah. Because honestly, they are trying to figure out if Trey Lance is the guy, which if you draft him that high, you need to. But Jimmy Garoppolo, he can win you games. And
Mhm.
I feel like, just like you said, coaching was the issue in the
Yeah.
Broncos game.
No, I think it was.
And they've totally tried to revamp the offense for Trey Lance, which rightfully so if you wanted him to be the guy. So they need to get this entire offense back into what worked last year, like why
Mhm.
they went to the NFC title game last year. And if they can get back into that mindset, dude, there's no reason why the 49ers aren't a playoff team or even back in the NFC title game.
Yeah. The only thing I'm a little afraid about is I talked about it earlier on my show. Trent Williams is gone for 6 to 8 weeks, and that's tough because I put out some all 22 film. Without Trent Williams, our left tackle is pretty bad. I would not trust him at all.
Maybe that's
Jimmy
somebody
Garoppolo,
you try to go get, a
yeah,
left tackle.
yeah, maybe deadline. I mean, you try to find somebody. I don't know, man. It's gonna be messy if we can't figure something out. But yeah. So we'll get to the Ravens versus Bills real quick. Grandizer, regular on the show. Hey Ben, you're back on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I am.
is.
I had a show earlier on today as well. 49ers defense complete package. Our offense is offensive right now.
Our offense is offensive right
Offensive
now.
right now. Yeah.
I see what you did there, David. I see what
Yeah.
you did there.
So let's get to breaking down keys. So we're gonna get to 4 big games. Bills versus Ravens. Then we're gonna get to, let's see here. I have it. Bills versus Ravens, and then I have Broncos versus Raiders, Chiefs versus Buccaneers, Rams versus 49ers. So let's get to the first one. What are some keys for the Bills versus Ravens? I think this is the biggest game of the week, in my opinion. So yeah, what are some keys?
This is going to be a very, very, very high scoring game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
but for the Buffalo Bills, they're playing 2 different teams from week to week. Miami are trying to throw it over the top of you.
Yeah.
You gotta contain Lamar and you have to go get him. Like, this is going to be really interesting to see how Von Miller and company try to
Mhm.
rush Lamar Jackson to keep him contained in the pocket and make him throw quick. If you're putting pressure on Lamar and keeping him contained, then you've beaten the Baltimore Ravens.
True.
And for Baltimore, I think kind of the opposite. You just kind of got to force it and keep doing what you're doing and stay in this game because Buffalo is I think they've lost their last 7 games that are within 1 score, but they're
Mhm.
like they have 7 other games where they've like won by double digits,
Right.
and it's been insane. Like the Bills will either lose a close game or they'll blow you out. And if you
Mhm.
keep it close in the fourth quarter, you have a chance, especially with Lamar.
Yeah, that's true. I think for the Ravens, this game for I think Allen bodes well because the Ravens have had last in passing yards allowed.
Mm,
So they've allowed the most passing yards and total yards. Yeah, last in passing yards allowed and total yards allowed for an offense. So their defense is pretty bad. And then in 24th in points allowed as well. So that
mm,
doesn't bode well. But for the Ravens, you have to this is how the Dolphins beat them. You have to keep everything underneath you. The Dolphins beat them by allowing Josh Allen to 5 yards per attempt, I believe it was, or per completion, something crazy like that. So keep it underneath you. Don't give up big plays, which is obviously that's very, I think, cliche is the word because obviously you do that. But seriously, you have to do that. So whether it's putting 2 safeties deep, whether it's playing a zone like a like a zone deep with a bunch of safeties deep or whatever, and just keep everything underneath you. And again, it's crazy because it's like the Bills are able to throw it 60 times a game and not get shut down. Like
yeah.
it's really incredible to me to see that. So, and then for the Ravens, or for the Bills defense, I think you have to, yeah, like you said, contain Lamar Jackson, which they're the team to do it because they have a very, very good defense, and they've embarrassed Matthew Stafford, and they also embarrassed Ryan Tannehill, and the
Mhm.
only guy that they didn't was Tua. So
And Tua and Lamar are kind of the same guy.
same, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Finns gave up the dink and dunk plays to both teams. However, both Ravens and Bills have better inside linebackers than the Finns do. That's true. That's true. And when I looked at that Ravens, like how bad their pass defense has been doing, I was surprised because they originally have been a very good defensive team. Grandizer obviously is a Dolphins fan, so uh, go Dolphins. I have a special spot in
Go
my
Tua,
heart for the
man.
Dolphins.
Go Tua. I kind of do too. So I'm a Miami Heat fan. So I,
Yeah.
I I love Miami. I would love to live down in Miami. No state tax. I looked at my paycheck today and I was like, man, I hate North Carolina and this state tax, man. I don't know how it is out in Colorado for you, but
I think it's pretty
sheesh.
bad too. Not as bad as California, obviously, but yeah, I
I'd
think it's pretty bad.
I'd love to live in Florida or Texas. No
Yeah.
state tax. And one of my professional teams are there. That's where I want to live. So if any
Yeah.
radio station wants to pick me up over there, I wouldn't be opposed.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So let's get to the next one, Broncos versus Raiders. What are some keys for that game?
Uh, Raiders coaching,
Yeah.
and I feel like Derek Carr. I want to say Derek Carr and Devontae Adams need to put this game on his back, and Devontae have like a Green Bay Packer like game.
Mhm.
Like Adams gets 14 catches, 178 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like
Mhm.
they need that game, but I really want to see Josh Jacobs like help pick
Right.
up the slack
He's been
there.
kind of
Like
dormant.
I feel like Jacobs is capable of helping out, and if the Raiders have a balanced passing attack, the Broncos, they haven't gotten going with
No.
Russell Wilson. And again, it takes time. I feel like Matt Stafford didn't get the reps he needed in the preseason. It's taken them a little slower.
Mhm.
I feel the same with Russell Wilson and the Broncos, especially moving to a new team. Anytime that happens, there's a little like giveaway. Happened with Matt Stafford last season, coming from the Lions. So I feel like Russell Wilson needs to find some chemistry with his guys. If Jerry Judy's healthy, Cortland Sutton, getting them going.
Yeah, I think the 49ers also are kind of dealing with the same issue because both years in a row they don't really play their starters much in the preseason, and both years, this year and last year, they've struggled coming off the bat. I mean, and they've struggled even more this year coming off the coming out of the preseason. So I think for the Raiders defense, I think you have to find a way to contain Cortland Sutton, because he's been getting tons of targets each game. He really looks like that main like passing threat. If you can get him under control, I think that's a big thing. And then hopefully not hopefully, but Russell Wilson, as the season should go, he should, like you said, get more familiar. It's just that, like, I don't know. Patrick Surtain is playing in this game. Patrick Surtain versus Devontae Adams. That should be really interesting.
Ooh.
But, and I mean, their defense is really good. So it's really just going to have to depend on any big plays that they can create, the Raiders, on offense. And coaching wise, I think,
This
I
could
don't
be
know
a
who's
low
a better
scoring
coach.
game.
Yeah,
This
it
could be a
is.
low scoring game.
It is. Because both
Wow.
defenses are pretty good. I say Broncos win this just because I think the Broncos coach is slightly better, even though both coaches I have my question marks about, Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels.
Well, it could honestly come down to the magic in Russell Wilson or Derek Carr. Like who's going to have the magic in their hand with 2 minutes left in the game? Gosh, but Devontae versus Surtain.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That makes it interesting.
It does. And is this finally the week they need to get? Because if the Raiders lose this game, what? They've lost now 2 divisional games?
And they're 0-4.
0-4, and they're 0-2 in the division. This is potentially a must-win game for this Raiders team. Like, absolutely. Because I don't think you can rebound from it. Go ahead.
Does that push you further to the Raiders needing that must win? And they're home. They're at home. And they're honestly favored right now at 2.5 points. Oh,
I'm going to say Broncos still, man. I think
dude, this is a coin toss.
17-14, because I think the Broncos defense is better. They've shown that they can they can do better at running. They have a better quarterback. I don't know. I just think the
Broncos
Raiders
aren't better at running. Javonte Williams has been like,
they did play the 49ers last week though. So,
I mean, looking at the lean rusher, Josh Jacobs leads all the lean rushers in this game.
True.
Gosh, this is tough. This is a coin toss.
Chat, tell us what you guys think. Yeah, it's in Raiders Stadium.
It's at the Raiders. Man. But I feel like if Surtain shuts down Devontae Adams, who steps up? Like, I don't know of anyone stepping up.
And really, Surtain did a good. Go ahead.
The Broncos have weapons.
Surtain did a really good job at shutting down the 49ers receivers last week.
Debo.
Debo really didn't have that great day. And again, they completely, I believe George Kittle had 5 or 6 targets. They really didn't allow him to anything. Debo Samuel, that defense is really good. I could see nothing happening on the Raiders, and that's why I feel like the Broncos offense is explosive enough. I mean, the Raiders defense isn't as good as the 49ers defense. I think the Broncos offense is explosive enough. They have Cortland Sutton, who's been really tearing it up lately, getting a lot of targets. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Broncos here. I think if you look at they're not too good, the Raiders lately. They haven't been, so.
It's a division game, so it could go either way.
I mean,
give me the Broncos. Give me the Broncos. That Surtain matchup. Who the Raiders have next week?
Next week? Okay, let's look at their schedule real quick. I should have pulled this up. I apologize, guys. They have oh my gosh, this is bad. They have the Chiefs next week.
Oh.
Chiefs next week. So if you lose this week, you're probably losing next week. 0-5. Yeah, maybe this is a must win. I mean, okay, but here's the thing, though. The Raiders don't have very many weapons on, except from Adams. But they have Mac Hollins, Moreau, Josh Jacobs. They have to establish some type of run game.
Darren Waller.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me is they only handed it off to Josh Jacobs last week 13 times, and he was a 5.1 average. That's it. They only ended off them 13 times, and they lost 22-24. So you have to establish some type of run game. But the Broncos' run game is, not that great. The Broncos gave up, I believe it was like 6 yards per carry, because the 49ers, hold on. I'm looking this up again. I'm trying to think here. 49ers, I believe when they did run it with just Jeff Wilson last week, were really good. So 49ers ran it 12 times with Jeff Wilson, 75 yards, 6.2 yards per carry. So they did good against the Broncos when they did run, but they didn't run it much. They got away from it. So I think if you're the Raiders, you have to maybe stick to the run game a little bit more and stick to your running back.
I'm going Broncos.
Yeah, me too. That's a good choice. I think also a quarterback that can make more plays, I think at the end, is definitely Russell Wilson. But let's get to some of the comments. Tua got so much hate. It's truly unwarranted. And this is coming from a guy who didn't want to draft a quarterback in 2020.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nobody loved Tua coming into this season. And I was like, guys, you still got a really good quarterback. And it could be a lot worse down in Miami. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a solid comment.
Yeah. Camper recall, I believe it was on your past stream. I asked Squabo about if Russell Wilson really done. Has his skill diminished that much? Squabo said yes. Yes, I remember that. I remember when he said that. Check out Squabo Says, guys. Shout out to him. Great guy. Seahawks content creator. So Squabo said yes, and said that Seattle should have traded him too. Yeah, but I still think if you're deciding upon Derek Carr and Russell Wilson, I would still go Russell Wilson.
Easy.
And the Broncos defensive line is better, and their defense in general, I think, is better than the Raiders defense. So their run game's better. They have Bradley Chubb. They have guys that can make plays. So I don't know. And honestly, if you're looking at coaching, their coaching over the Raiders is not very good either. So. Where is the game? Oh, okay. That we already got that. I'd go with the home team. Not sold on either team. Raiders. Okay. Russell is done. Give me the tie. Wow. Okay.
Give me the tie.
Who
did
the Chargers play? That's a good question. I don't think it's anybody big, because otherwise I would have outlined it. But they play
the Texans.
Yes.
They play in Houston, so they should win that game.
Right, which
if they don't, we can.
Yeah.
Yikes! That coaching staff better be.
Which makes it even more of a reason for the Raiders to win, because if you don't, that's scary. That is really scary if you don't win this game. So that's the only thing that is like, and the Raiders might pull this one off. What's up, Ben? Celts Chronicles coming in. Shout out to him. He's another 49ers content creator. I've had him on a few times now. Been on his show. Great guy. In general, just talking to him. Yeah, really good. So check out his channel, Celts Chronicles. But yeah, let's get to the next matchup. Let's see here. Next matchup, we have Chiefs versus Buccaneers. We can quickly, we've been going for an hour, so let's I know it's late there, so let's quickly do our quick keys for this game.
Whoever makes the most plays. Yeah. Buccaneers defense can contain Patrick Mahomes. I have no doubts about that, especially since they've lost Tyreek Hill. I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster's been the guy. No. I wonder how Travis Kelce does against the Buccaneers linebackers, who were two of the best in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Tampa needs to get their offense going. I feel like Chiefs defense isn't that great. And if they can get Mike, this is first time I think Tampa's had all their pieces. Like
Godwin's coming back, I think.
Chris Godwin and Cole Beasley now is in the lineup. This could be the week that Tampa starts to get it together, and it's on prime time. I believe it's in Tampa, even despite the hurricane that passed through there. So I feel like Tampa's got this game.
Yeah, me too. Leonard Fournette, always really good. I think Tom Brady, when he has receivers or whatever, he's gonna make plays. I do though. One guy to look into: Chris Jones versus the interior. That interior Buccaneers offense is not very good, so that's something he could wreck the game. But I think it's going to be close. I think it's a Sunday night game. I'm going to go Buccaneers. I'm going to agree with you there. I think getting all these receivers back, you have Chris Godwin, who I think since he's been injured for so long, we've all forgotten how good this guy used to be. I mean, if he can come
He
back,
still is. He
yeah,
still is.
yeah. So Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I don't think Julio Jones is playing in this game, but that's another guy. I mean, this is the deepest receiving room ever. I mean, it has 7 guys all right there. Seven receivers that all can make plays. So
And they just picked up Cole Beasley. Like,
yeah,
that's basically Wes Welker.
he's
Maybe Wes
not
Welker
as
a little
good.
aged a little bit, but Cole Beasley in his prime was Wes Welker.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, I'm gonna go Chiefs there. I mean, sorry, Buccaneers there. But Patrick Mahomes could make plays. I think coaching wise, I think Andy Reid's better. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you.
I
You
would
think Bowles is better?
No, I don't think Bowles is coaching this team. I think Tom Brady coaches this team, at least the
Yeah,
offense wise.
it's true.
Todd Bowles handles the defense. Tom Brady, whatever he wants to call. And then when you
Right.
go up Tom Brady versus Andy Reid, I'll take Tom Brady's
Yeah.
brain.
And again, I mean, this could be a chance for the Chiefs to bounce back. They just lost to the Colts, which was surprising. But the one way, I mean, they're good at stopping the run, because they did allow Jonathan Taylor, one of the league's leading back, to 3.4 yards per carry off of 21 carries. So you have to now. Let's see here. Matt Ryan did have a very good day last week, so 27 for 37. They have to contain Tom Brady. That's going to be hard to do. But their run game's really good. So would you trust Tom Brady if you put him in the ball in his hands late in the game? I would. That's why I think.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So, oh yeah, we got an early game to watch this week too. Saints versus Vikings. London game, 5 a.m. for us in the West Coast. Really? Wait, that's a London game. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Is it 5 a.m.? I thought
That'd be 6 a.m. my time. I'm not waking up that early.
I'm pretty sure it starts at 9:30 on the East Coast.
Should
So
be 7:30 here in my time.
7:30, 6:30 at California.
West
Good
Coast.
grief. Hey, at least California gets like these primetime games at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and still have the rest of the evening. For us East Coast guys, it's like 8:30 and you're like fourth quarter. If it's not good, you're just like snoozing away in your recliner.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's 6:30 here, so it's not terrible. Primetime games end around 9:30. So, DC Josh McDaniels is not NFL head coach material. Carr is above average, but not great. I agree.
That's fair.
There was another comment here. Up there, it says, "Who is the problem?" By the way, shout out DC. I believe I've seen you in the chat, but if I haven't, then welcome. Who is the problem, McDaniels or Carr? I have to go McDaniels. I think Carr's pretty good. He showed that he can be good.
I believe this team, like especially on paper, could be a playoff team. I expected this team to be in the playoffs, but not with Josh McDaniels at the helm. I think that's been pretty evident first 3 weeks of the season.
Brady versus Bieniemy, who you got?
Brady.
Yeah.
Brady.
Ben, you are used to waking up early for your track meets. Yes. Yes. But the problem is like Sundays are like the only days I get to sleep in, and I'm going to tomorrow. So I mean, yeah. But anyways, let's get to the next topic. Last of the day, the last matchup, which I covered earlier on. So if you want a more in-depth view go to the earlier show. But what are your thoughts? What are your keys for the Rams versus 49ers game?
Oh, this is your team. The
Yeah.
San Francisco 49ers. So I feel like the Rams are going to get it going. It's not a matter of what, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, it's true.
And with the San Francisco 49ers, if, like I said earlier in the show, if they can tap into what helped Jimmy Garoppolo and this team to the NFC Championship game, like if they really invested a lot into the coaching, like it's going to come down to coaching for the
Right.
49ers and putting Garoppolo in position to succeed. Unfortunately, y'all are still without Elijah Mitchell, who I drafted in the fantasy and am regretting it right now. Same league I drafted Kyler Murray in, so I'm
Yeah.
double hurting right now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Rams just have so much talent. Like
Yeah.
you cannot let this defense has to show up, because if you let Cooper Kupp go off, then that allows the rest of the offense to go, and it could be a long day for the 49ers if the defense doesn't show up.
That's a good point. You have to, again, Cooper Kupp is best when he's in the slot. You have to limit the 49ers are top 3 against slot receivers. I think as far as receivers go, we have a really good cornerback group. And I think pressure, Matthew Stafford hasn't looked good under pressure. That's what the Bills did to him, and he got exposed that Bills game. They really, the last 2 games, Cardinals and Falcons, both teams that, I mean, Cardinals did give, JJ Watt gave them a little bit of problems. And so I think we're going to get after him. And he makes rash decisions under pressure. My only thing is, I think our defense is going to do great. But my only thing is the offense will probably allow the Rams to hang around. It's going to be close. But the big thing is, how do we game plan without Trent Williams? Again, we looked terrible last week when he went out. The fourth quarter, Jimmy Garoppolo was under pressure the whole game. But we do have, Kyle Shanahan did have a week to prepare without Trent Williams. So that's a big one. I'm going to pick the Rams here to win, just because I think our offense is not trustworthy right now. I think we have to get the ball to George Kittle more, but I just think our defense is going to be really good again, and our offense is probably going to end up letting us down. Our offensive line is starting to become a really big problem.
And going up against Aaron Donald and that Rams front seven, that's not what you want. That's the last thing you want, is offensive line problems. Now, I don't know if you know this. Do you know the Vegas line? Guess this Vegas line right here.
Like, who's the underdogs?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Rams.
Rams by how many?
Because historically, I think you have to pick 49ers if you're Vegas. Rams are underdogs. I'm going to say by 4.
Rams are only underdogs by 1.5.
Oh, I did hear that. My bad. Yeah, I did hear that. Okay.
But I just saw that because I looked it up. I was like, really? You know, especially with the records right now. I know it's only a 1-game difference, 2-1, 1-2. But I was like, wow, I did not expect San Francisco. If you told me San Francisco is without their starting quarterback, Trey Lance, without their starting running back, Elijah Mitchell, and they're playing against the Los Angeles Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions, and they're favored on Monday Night Football, like that's still pretty good.
Well, and the thing is we did get back on track last year at Monday Night Football, that game against the Rams, the first one, and we ended up destroying them. And I think the Rams have been good against the run this year. They really have. So if we try it, who do I trust more with the ball in the hands of Jimmy Garoppolo or Matthew Stafford? Obviously Matthew Stafford, but I think our defense is, the 49ers just have to put this game away early. And I don't know if they can do that, but if they can, then yeah, we win.
It's going to be really close.
And it's all about the 49ers getting turnovers. Again, one thing that the defense does lack is they haven't really gotten a ton of turnovers. If they can make the offense's job easier, since it has been pretty sloppy, then yeah. And again, historically, like week 18, we didn't have Trent Williams either last year when we beat the Rams, and we were fine. So hopefully Deebo Samuel can do his thing. I just think the Rams have Deebo Samuel and Jimmy Garoppolo figured out. They showed it in the NFC Championship game. I'm going to pick the Rams in this one. I think it's going to be close. I against the Bears and I picked a pretty high scoring game last week with the Broncos and the 49ers. And the Broncos and 49ers game was really low scoring. So I'm going to go low scoring again and be like
Easy.
14-10 Rams.
And the over-under for that game right now for the Rams and 49ers is 42.5.
Oh, nah.
I would definitely take the under.
Under.
Now what could happen? Yeah, thank you for that comment. What could happen is much like the last Monday Night Football game, Cowboys and Giants. It's very low scoring. People are like ranting on social media, "Oh, this is an ugly game." No, it's a defensive game. Get it right. Okay. And then in the second half, offenses find a groove and just start piling up points. But I'm still taking the under on this one.
Yeah. History, the two teams have met each other 146 times. Rams
Only
with the
two
Rams winning
postseason games shocks me. And one of them was last year.
Yeah, that's true. Rams winning 68 games and the 49ers winning 75 games. They have also tied 3 times. 49ers led series 75-68, which would have been a lot more even last few years ago because the 49ers have won like 6 out of the 7 times now. So,
Wow.
My prediction, Rams 23, 49ers 19. Player of the game, Matthew Stafford. Sorry. Yeah, I think Matthew Stafford's going to throw some picks. He usually does against the 49ers. I think our defensive line is better than it has been. I could see the Rams struggling to get it going on offense. I think 23 is generous because I could see the Rams struggling to get it going on offense as well. Just because our run game's really good, our pass game's really good. But I do think
that's barely hitting the under too.
I think it's going to come down to the game. I think it's going to be like 13-7. We're winning. Rams haven't been doing anything. And then finally Cooper Kupp just breaks loose and we lose. 49ers O-line and run game is concerning. No Elijah Mitchell. Yeah. The run game was good last week. I think that's the difference. The run game was good last week and we went away from it. Why? In your right mind as a coach, why would you we were averaging 6 yards per carry last week. Why did you go away from it? We know that Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't trust his arm under big moments. I don't know why, especially with the 4 minutes left when he threw that interception. It's just, you're trying to run the ball as much as you can in that situation. Fourth quarter against the Denver Broncos, not pass it. Ben picks the Rams. FTW. What does that mean?
For the win.
Oh, for the win. Yeah. Prayer of the game. Prayer of the game. Let's pray.
Hey, that works. I'm an App State alum, and I like me a Hail Mary or two.
Wilson Jr. needs the ball more. Yeah, he does.
Agreed.
And also, we have running backs. We actually just picked up Marlon Mack, and then we've got Mason who looked good in preseason. So yeah, I would run the ball a heck of a lot more.
Now, for the record, I do like Garoppolo, but this matchup against the Rams after losing Trent Williams, it doesn't look good for them at all.
No, and then their pass game has looked really good this year. You have Jalen Ramsey, and then you have that rookie. It's Trayvon something, and he had a really good game last week for the Rams. I can look right now, but yeah, that's a good point. Rams corners. So we have Jalen Ramsey, and then let's see. I had it written down, but I don't have my notebook.
Which Ramsey himself can stop Deebo Samuel, no question. And then who steps up?
It is. Wait, Robert Rochelle. Huh. I think he's injured though. There was one rookie that stepped up big last week and had 9 tackles for the Rams. It was Trayvon something like that. But he had a really good game. Lambs are going to stack the box. We can't let the cup hit us in the face. Yeah. Anyways, Everyone, this has been a great night. Thank you for tuning in. Tell them where they can find you again, and your radio show and your YouTube channel especially. It's
Yeah.
in the description.
Yeah. So again, I'm the host of Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio and tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. You can find us online. You can find us wherever there's a podcast on Spotify or Apple under the Tobacco Road Sports Radio banner. I am also going to be on Greensboro Radio starting October 14th with the TGI Friday lineup on WWBG 1470 AM. Plus, I have my Out Pocket talks about sports, football, especially basketball, wrestling. And I just started a YouTube channel for my wrestling podcast called Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast. It's a mic drop Monday. So we release videos every Monday. And it's going to be a great episode this upcoming Monday. I'll have a guest on. We're going to talk about some big surprises. And if you're not a wrestling fan, it's time to get to be a wrestling fan. There's no better time to become a wrestling fan. The industry's boomed the last couple years,
Yeah.
and it's really great stuff. You got to watch. It's just like a movie.
Yeah. I'll post because I didn't post your podcast in the description, but if you want, his Twitter handles are in the description. His YouTube channel is in the description, and then after this video ends, I will post the his podcast as well in the description. So everyone, have a good rest of your evening. Thank you so much for coming on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Dude, it was great. Let me know anytime you want me back on. This was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
You both have a good night. Sleep well. Catch you next week. Grandizer, I will be back this Wednesday recapping the 49ers versus Rams Monday Night Football game with, I believe, Bashar from 49er Minded. Shout out him. That will be a first-time guest as well. So I'll be back on Wednesday. Everyone, have a good rest of your night. This has been Clap It Up for Michael Davis out of my hometown, Wilkesboro. Man, it finally feels good to do a show with another North Carolina, a North Carolinian, or do you say it like that?
Yeah, we're North Carolinian.
Yeah, and just to see that accent that I've
Oh
grown
my
up around all
gosh.
my life. You don't see it much around in
Oh,
Colorado, so
man.
moved to Colorado when I was 10, so I lived there for the first 10 years of my life. And I remember hearing about you because you said you went to college with my brother. I
Yeah.
remember hearing about you. I remember
Dude.
hearing about the Cowboys fan, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know who you were. And then, yeah, now I know.
Now
I
it is.
know.
And honestly, like I love your brother Joseph. Me and him are really good friends. Would count on him for anything. It honestly feels like talking to a younger, much wiser Joseph Camperman. Obviously, you're not an Eagles fan. And I
Yeah.
know he's listening to that, and he's probably going to blow up my phone right now.
Yeah. You guys got a new fan. See you on Monday. Yes, DC. Thank you. And this was your first time in the chat, so thank you.
Great
Much
time
love
to join.
you.
Hey,
Yeah.
DC probably stands for Dallas Cowboys. Maybe.
Maybe. Does Michael Davis follow Panthers Nation podcast? They're really good. He's a Cowboys fan though. So
I am a Cowboys fan. I do follow a lot of stuff that Tobacco Road Sports Radio does with the Carolina Panthers. There's a radio show on there with Jonathan Stewart, former Panthers running back. That's really good. It's the Believe in Panthers podcast. And that's mainly the Carolina Panthers content I have. I follow a lot of Cowboys stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, everyone, this has been a lot of fun. I'm just trying to click off right. Okay. But we'll see you again on Wednesday. Yeah, have a good rest of your night. And go 49ers and
Go
boo
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Because I don't like the Cowboys, but whatever.